Hello, sunshines. Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host, Heather, known as Bunnyfish everywhere on the internet. And I am so excited because today is December 30th, and I want to check in with you about my crafty goals from last year. I want to tell you about what I intend to do in 2026 for both crafting and reading. And I blacked out my intentions board today for 2025. So very, very exciting. There's only really two things to talk about on the board. The first is that I finished working on what would have been the third blanket for auction. We just stopped doing auction this school year, so it wasn't actually an auction blanket, but I finished it, and I will insert a little bit of footage here. Most of it is 2 strands of worsted weight held together. I used a size K hook. Some of it was different amounts of strands of yarn held together depending on the thickness. But I think it turned out well. Hopefully my coworker likes it. And I'm really proud of myself. And I really, really thought that using up 361 minis was not going to happen. At the start of the month, I was like, there's no way. Because I had to do so many minis. But then I buckled down and worked on scrappy projects and finished things, and I used up 361 minis or full skeins or remnants or whatever this year. And I'm really, really excited about that. It feels nice to be using up the scrappy bits, the leftover parts. So I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of that. Going into 2026 is going to be a little different because I'm not putting a goal to use up scraps. Because look at my scrap shelf. So this is so very strange to me. Not bad, but strange. Because I live a very scrappy life, right? I love making scrappy projects. And I've been doing a great job of it. But this is it. These are my scraps. And this is partial balls. I would say anywhere between 20 and 50 grams of the are in here. This is tiny bits of self-striping, neutrals, reds. And then this is all of my blues, greens, purples. That's so strange, but so lovely also because I want to be using up my scraps. But this is why I am not putting a scrappy goal on my crafty goals board, because I've been working through it. So I just don't have that much scrap right now. I mean, I do, obviously. This is a lot. This is not nothing. But I do have a lot of pretty great plans. I will be looking down. I have my plans. I have some papers falling out of my journal. I have my plans all laid out and gridded out. So, I'm not putting use up minis and stuff on my goal, but I still, down here, I don't even know if you can see it, it says remnants used, and then it's numbered out for the 52 weeks. I still want to track that because I think that's fascinating. And I do want to still be using my things. So let's look at what I want to do. So I want to rip out the sweater. Because if you saw my seasonal Yarny YouTube autumn video, this is way too big. Like, I'm wearing a sweatshirt with positive E's, and the sweater still has more positive E's. So this is way too big. So I'm going to rip it out because I can't wear this. And this yarn is too pretty to be not being worn. Because I really want this sweater to go over my dresses for school. So first goal is to rip it out. Obviously, I don't have to do these goals in any sort of order, but it's just the first thing that I have written down on my board. So if you were able to read the grid when I held it up, the second square does not say in the final thing a baby blanket, because I made this grid several days ago, but then I went to my family holiday party, and last year my niece asked for a giant worm, and she didn't say anything other than a giant worm. So I made her something worm-like and hoped it would be good enough. And the way that all of the children, except for my youngest, the way that all of the children between they're 17 to 21 were all like, "What's that? How did you get that? Why'd she make you that? That's so cool." They get to pick what their present is. Like, they tell me what they want by the end of January, and I do my very, very best to make it happen. And I guess it just never occurred to them that I would make them, basically whatever within reason. So she loved it, and she thought it was very cool. And after we left the get together, she called me, which she never calls me, but she called me and she was like, "So basically, long story short, can you make me a 3-foot praying mantis?" So I need to figure out how to make a 3-foot praying mantis. If you have any pattern suggestions, it could be knit or crochet. Drop them below, because I don't know. I've never attempted making a mantis. Like, I'm sure I could figure it out. But if you know of a good praying mantis pattern, please, give me a little insight. I'd love to look at it, get some ideas, and go from there. Wedding blanket. So my cousin is getting married in August. I started this wedding blanket in the 12 cast-ons video, and it's at 3 rows. And how many rows do we think I need? Probably more than 100, right? Maybe 150. So if I need 150 and I have 3 rows, what does that put me at? 2%? Is that right? I think so. Yeah, I think it's at 2% completed. So my intent for this blanket is to put on a row a day, which is an average of a row a day during the week. Just so that I'm not, it's not June and I'm trying to make an entire blanket. I would like it to be June and now it's getting hotter, but I don't have that much left to crochet onto this blanket. It is the side-by-side blanket by NSP Designs, and I will link it in the show notes. I'm trying to be better about that. So yeah, it's just got different textures in it. It's a really beautiful blanket. I made one for one of my friends when I went to her wedding, and it was just beautiful. The finished object is so, so beautiful. So that's what that blanket is going to be. The next block is socks for Myrrh. That's my very best friend. I've known her for so long. We met in high school and we've been friends for, I don't know, more than 21 years, but I don't know how many more than 21 years because we stopped counting after our friendship could take itself out for a drink. So it's still like, it's maybe 23 years, somewhere in there. I don't know how old I am. I mean, I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 in May. But like most of the time I can't, like that doesn't compute because most of the time I'm pretty sure I'm like 23, 24. Even when I have my kids with me. But anyway, socks for my best friend. So I bought yarn from, I feel really weird not having a project to work on. All right, I'm back. I'm settled. I have a project to keep my hands occupied. So I ordered 2 skeins of yarn from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. There's a winter mystery pie colorway. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I'll put a picture of the graphic here. And it looks really fun and really bright. But I also ordered a skein that's based off of, I think it's a Luna moth, but I may have made that up. I'll also put a picture of that there. So I'm going to make, and they're both DK. So I'm going to make myself and my best friend pairs of DK weight socks. I am knitting. It's just down here. Yes, we're going to have DK weight socks, but I don't know which pair is going to be for my best friend because I'm going to give her the option. Like I'm going to show her the skeins or probably send her a video of the skeins, honestly, and ask her which one she likes better. And then she gets that one and I get the other pair. Yeah. So I don't know what that's going to look like yet because I have to get the yarn, which doesn't ship until the end of January. But that's okay because I just cast on 12 projects and I don't really need to be starting another project right now. Especially because I still have all of these projects. It's fine. My next square says, finish the cowl for my sister, which is right here. And this is the project that got me through the minis that I needed because this section right here, starting right here to here, has so many minis because they were the leftovers from her scrappy purple socks that I made her. So this is the cowl. This is where I was at the beginning of 2025. And I don't have that much to go because my goal is for it to be able to wrap around twice without strangling, but maybe a little bit tight would be okay. So I'm going to say I need to do like a quarter of a length because it's half of one time around. So, I mean, I guess it would be a third again of whatever this cowl is right now. So yeah, I basically need to do this much more knitting and then take out the provisional cast on and graft the two ends together to make a cowl. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at that. That's going to be so pretty when it's finished, and I want it to be finished this year. Can totally do it. I don't have very many scraps in here right now though, so I'm gonna have to figure that situation out because I don't really have purple or pink scraps in my scrap stash. It's up there. It's on a shelf up there, so you can't see that, but yeah, I decimated my pink and purple scraps. I mean, I guess I could put more blue, like we could go to a more bluey section. I do have some blues, but we'll see. We'll see about that. I need to put on some chapstick because I found chapstick. Anybody else? Like, I can't find a chapstick and not put chapstick on. It's a necessity. Next up is finish this linen stitch blanket, and I will put in a little bit of video of what this looks like on my bed so you can see the full size of it. I want this blanket to cover the top of my queen size mattress, so I have quite a ways to go. It's for my niece for graduation. She graduates in June, so this has a smaller deadline than some of the other things, because the other things can be finished whenever, but this has to be finished by June, and the wedding blanket has to be finished by August, obviously. So, but it's so pretty. Every time I look at my scrappy projects, I'm like, oh my goodness, you're so pretty. You're the most pretty. I can't see what that is. Ooh, finish a spinning project. Okay. So if you watched my 12 cast-ons video, you will have heard me talk about this project, but I'm going to talk about it again anyway. I started a spin on my Golding of this beautiful fiber, and it's by Supernova Dye Works, I think. I have two of these boxes, one holding one half of the braid, one holding the other half of the braid, because they were just like the perfect size for the halves of the braid. But I just cast this on. That's not what you say when you're starting a spinning project. I just started spinning this. It's a 4-ounce braid, I'm pretty sure, and I just started it. So do I think I can finish that? I don't know. But I do want to work on that every day. Like, my intent is to spin on it for 5 minutes every day. But the other thing is, I started this spinning project forever ago, and I worked on it pretty diligently for a while last year. This is Deviant Fiber, also 4 ounces, in the Our Endless Numbered Days colorway. I have one turtle done, and then I only have this much fiber left to spin and then plying. So this would be a smarter bet if I'm trying to finish a spinning project, right? But I love my new spinning project. So I don't know. I don't know which one is going to get finished. I also have at least 3 other spinning projects. Who knew? You guys didn't, because it's been so long. I mean, some of you might, but it's been a long time since I've spun. Let's be serious. It's been a long time since I've done spinning consistently. So I want to finish one of those this year. And I'm not picky about which of those spinning projects it is. If I really get the itch and decide that I need to spin my silk spinning project, then I guess that'll be what I'm working on. I don't think that's going to happen though. I also want to use up 10 skeins from my stash. Almost all of my projects for the 12 cast-ons will count for that. So I'm in a really good place for that if those skeins get all the way used up. So I'm thinking, like, when I'm saying that, like, there's no partials left over. The Keenan yarn won't count because I bought that last year. I don't know why that doesn't count, but in my head it doesn't count. In my head, that's cheating. The spinning this braid right here, the Supernova braid, that wouldn't count because I just bought that last year. And again, I don't know why in my brain that doesn't count, but it doesn't count. But if I finished this spinning project, that would count. So I don't know. Because it's like, it's not a skein of yarn, but it's a braid of fiber, which would count. And the wedding blanket wouldn't count because I bought the yarn specifically for the wedding blanket. But any of the other 12 cast on projects would count as long as I used up that yarn all the way, like in scrappy blankets or whatever. 50 flower motifs joined. So I have these beautiful flowers just waiting in glass jars to be made into a blanket for my littlest for her graduation blanket. And I've started putting them together, but I only have this many. So how many is it? I have 7 together. I want to have, so it says 50 flower motifs joined. So I guess that would mean 57 by the end of the year put together. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh my gosh, I love that. But I have to work on it in order for it to get done. So I had to put it on my list. She's not graduating for a while because she's a freshman. But I also don't want to be scrambling to put these all together in a 6-month period. Small things for leadership. I have plans. Again, going back to the 12 things, I have cast on this Loopy monster. Loopy's mini monster. So I haven't worked on it since I cast these on, but I have 2. And then I saw all these beautiful singles yarns, and I was like, ooh, I could make a cute stripy monster for one of the leadership team members. And then I just need to figure out a 4th colorway sequence sort of thing to do for another mini monster, because I'm going to make them all mini monsters. So those are started. 2 of them are started. The 3rd one has the yarn picked out. So I'm feeling okay about that. The next square is reknit the sweater, and this is the sweater that I'm reknitting. So I have 1 square to rip it out. I have 1 square to reknit it because I do want this sweater. I just want it to be my size, not something that I can't wear because it's too big. 100 hexapuffs joined into the blanket. So I have a lot of these hexapuffs. I have a blanket started. I want to join them in. So I think I will probably do, oh, see, these ones are started to be sewn together. I'll probably do what I did last year. Was it last year or was it the year before? Where I just put 100 or whatever number into a bag. And then that way I'll know how many I've added in, because I'll know once they're all used up that I've done the 100. But that's for my oldest kiddo for graduation, and they are a junior this year. So I need to get that blanket closer to completion, because next year for 2027, the intention for that blanket will be finish the blanket by June. So I've got to get working on that. I want to add 10 squares to my barn raising blanket. I will put a picture of where that is right now. I've had the squares finished for over 10 years, because I definitely saw at some point in the past year, in the past month, it came up in Google Photos as 10 years ago with all of the squares laid out. I have to put those squares together. It's gonna be beautiful. I just have to do it. So I want to put 10 of them onto the blanket. Finish Leslie's wrap. So I started this wrap for my aunt. Random binder clip. Okay. Because she bought this yarn. It's a mohair. I can't wear mohair, but I can't really knit with it either. If I'm being honest, like my hands get a little bit itchy, but I don't want it to just sit there. So I'm making a wrap for my aunt. She doesn't know that I'm making her a wrap. I am this far. And what did we determine? Did we determine that this marks the end of the first ball of mohair? I think so. So I want to finish this. I think I have this and 4 more, but that might not be right. I'll put a picture of how much more of this mohair I have. I have plenty of white. I bought way more than enough white, but that's fine because I'm also using the white for connecting the flowers together. It's just Knit Picks Stroll Fingering in white. So if I want this to be done this year, I actually have to work on it. I would like to do 3 ridges rather, a week, which means a row a day, basically, with one day where I don't have to work on it. But I think that that's like a fairly reasonable intention. Do I know that 3 rows a week? So that would take me to 156 rows. Do I know that that would be enough to finish this blanket? No, I don't. Maybe I'll do some math and I will put it on the screen if that's going to be enough to finish this, not blanket, this wrap. Next up says finish orange thigh high. This is where I'm at. I've just barely started. And I have all of these minis to be worked in. So I can do it. It's fine. I just have to make sure that I'm picking this up and working on it. So I would like to do at least 2 rounds a week. It doesn't sound like a lot, but as long as I'm doing 2 rounds a week, eventually it'll get to the part where I've decreased so many stitches that it's just like knitting a normal sock in the round. And then I'll be like, ooh, in my brain, it'll be like time to zoom and finish this up. Let me put this away before I break my spindle. And the last one is finish the cactus embroidery. A student gave me this a couple years ago, and I started it, and I actually did a pretty good job at starting. Okay. So there are 4 plants. I have 1 finished. I have the other one mostly there. I just have to do some stitching for stems, and then I have to do its vase. And then I just barely started one. So, okay, this is looking cute. And my best friend is a plant lady. I am not a plant lady, but she is. And I think she would like it. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. That'll be so good when it's done. Kind of quickly, we're going to go over my Bookish Bingo. I was inspired by Kalisha of Quirky Monday. She did a Bookish Bingo for 2025, and I saw it and I was like, ooh, that's cool. And so I started filling in my board with stuff that like I knew I wanted to do. And then I definitely Googled book bingo and got inspiration from Google. So let's just go through this fairly quickly. I do have some I want to say props. That's not the right thing, but I have some props here that I'm going to hold up. So, finish a book by Nevo. I have a book. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Don't Sleep with the Dead. There we go. So that's going to count as soon as I read that, and that's on my January TBR. A book with more than 350 pages. I have that too. Because my sister bought me Blankets by Craig Thompson. It's the 20th anniversary edition. And she said that I have to read it and it's going to make me cry. I don't know what it's about, but she definitely told me that earlier in 2025. It is a graphic novel, so it won't be like reading. It's 600 pages, so it won't be like reading 600 pages worth of words, but maybe, because sometimes I get lost in the pictures. So that's exciting. I want to read a biography, a debut. Neither way that I said that sounds right. You know what I'm saying. Debut? I want to read one of those. I know how to say this word, but apparently not now. I want to read a book from my birthday trip. So I still have 4 books from my birthday trip that I haven't read yet. So I want to make sure to read at least one of those. I want to read a book with vampires. I want to read The Murderbot Diaries #3, which I have and is also on my January TBR. Blankets, I don't know if it's on my TBR for January or not. I haven't decided. Rogue Protocol and Don't Speak with the Dead, is that what it is? I think so. Sleep with the Dead, Speak, Sleep, whatever it was. Those 2 books for sure are on January. Maybe Blankets. I want to read a thriller. It's not my normal genre, but I'm kind of feeling it. Although I might be flexible on what I think a thriller is. Just so you know. I'd like to read a banned book. I want to read a short stories collection. I want to read a new release. I want to read a book that has multiple points of view, which I might not know until I start reading the book. I want to read, instead of having a free space, I've decided that I would like to read a nonfiction book about revolution. Could be revolution in general. It could be a specific revolution. I'm not boxing myself in on what that means. That's just what I want to do. I want to read Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. Maybe I'll put this on my January TBR just to start. Maybe I've figured out my January TBR with you right now. I think I have. those 4 books seem like a good place to start, but not finish Crescent City. Although I don't have a nonfiction book on there. So there's going to have to be one more. I want to read a book with a number in the title. I want to read a classic, although when I say read, like, audiobooks are a thing, so the classic will definitely be something that I audiobook rather than physically reading. I want to read another book by Nevo. There's one that I have on hold for the library. It's not on hold yet, but it will be on hold at the library. I'd like to read a retelling of a fairy tale, because of course I want to read a retelling of a fairy tale. Just love that so much. I'd like to read a book by Veronica Roth. So I feel like I should clarify that books can only count for 1 square. I'm not doubling up. So I have a book from my birthday trip, for instance, that's by Veronica Roth. If I count it for my birthday trip, I can't also count it for the Veronica Roth square. They have to be separate things. So I could, read that Veronica Roth and then pick up another one. Or I could read that book for the Veronica Roth square and then also read another one of my birthday trip books. We'll see. I want to read a book with dragons. I want to finish Dope Sick, which I started earlier in 2025. So I guess this is going to round out my January TBR. I don't need to finish this book, but I will be figuring out a reasonable goal for pages that I want to read in January. I would like to read book number 3 for School for Good and Evil. That's a J-fic book series that I'm really enjoying. The books are pretty long, but they don't take too terribly long to read. I think they're like 500 to 600 pages, and I think the first 2 took me like 10 days each to read. So looking forward to that. I want to read a book with werewolves. I want to read a book set during a holiday. So that could be any holiday, but I predominantly want the book to happen on a holiday. And I want to read Omnivore's Dilemma. So this has been recommended to me multiple times by my boyfriend. Or I guess not recommended, but he brings it up in discussion fairly frequently. So I feel like I should read it. And then one last intention. I this year had a yarn budget for buying vacation yarn. For the coming year, I would like to continue that plan, but budget out Advent yarn. Because I think I want to buy an Advent calendar this year. I didn't buy one in 2025. I did buy one in 2024. And I don't think I bought one in 2023. So I want to get 1 or 2 if I'm not going to do enough knitting to warrant getting 2. But I'd like to get 1. But I also like earning my special yarn because it makes sure that I'm actually crafting. So the way that my budget works, in case you haven't been here, is I get money to spend by finishing things. So if I finish a blanket, I get $25. If I finish a garment, I get $15. If I finish a hat, cowl, socks, or mitts, I get $5. Something small would be $2. So like that mini loopy mini monster, that would be a $2 project. If I finished like a bigger monster, it would be $5. And then remnants that I use are 10 cents each. And I have not been keeping up with that budget. Oh, the other important thing is if I spend money on yarn, it goes against my budget for the Advent yarn. So I have been remiss and I have not kept up with my yarn budget in my current journal. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to let you know on screen right here whether I am going into 2026 with any sort of budget or whether I'm going in with a deficit. We will see. I'm not super worried about it because I am going to be finishing 2 blankets in January, but I also know that I bought some yarn, so we'll see. All right, friends. By the way, I'm the worst. I have new subscribers. So thank you for watching if you're still here. But everybody, do you have intentions or plans for reading or knitting or life? Anything? Do you have any intentions or plans that you have made? I would really, really like to hear about them in the comments below. Yeah, I just like to know what everybody's up to. I want to know what you're thinking. And again, if you have any ideas for a praying mantis pattern, let me know because I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. But I have to make it work. I have to figure it out. All right, friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me as I talked about my goals and stuff. I will see you so soon. And bye for now.